Welcome, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that every human being wants, but very few people intentionally train. Before we begin, I want you to consider something. Every person you admire for their confidence, discipline, resilience, or success has faced moments of uncertainty, fear, and self-doubt. The difference is not that they were fearless. The difference is that they learned how to act despite those feelings. Inner strength is not something hidden inside a select few people. It is a skill. It is a biological and psychological capacity that can be developed through deliberate practice. And today we're going to explore how to build that capacity so that challenges no longer control your decisions, setbacks no longer define your identity, and discomfort becomes a catalyst for growth rather than a reason to stop. Most people think inner strength is something you're either born with or not. They look at individuals who remain calm under pressure, who continue moving forward despite setbacks, and who seem emotionally stable during difficult times. And they assume those people possess some rare trait. But when you examine the neuroscience and psychology of resilience, a very different picture emerges. Inner strength is not a fixed characteristic. It is a biological and psychological adaptation that can be trained. One of the biggest misconceptions is that stress is inherently harmful. In reality, stress itself is not the enemy. The real problem is our relationship with stress. Human beings evolved in environments that required adaptation to challenge. Our nervous system is designed to detect demands placed upon us and mobilize energy to meet those demands. The increase in heart rate, heightened alertness, and surge of focus that occur during stressful situations are not signs that something is wrong. They are signs that your brain and body are preparing you to act. When people consistently avoid discomfort, something interesting happens. The brain begins to interpret more and more situations as threatening. The range of experiences that feel overwhelming expands. Tasks that once seemed manageable start to feel intimidating. Conversations become harder. Risks feel larger. Uncertainty becomes more uncomfortable. Avoidance creates temporary relief, but over time it weakens your ability to handle challenge. The opposite is also true. When you deliberately face manageable difficulties, your nervous system learns that discomfort is survivable. Each successful encounter with challenge teaches the brain a valuable lesson. It creates evidence that you are capable of functioning even when conditions are not ideal. This process strengthens neural circuits associated with confidence, adaptability, and emotional regulation. Think about physical training for a moment. Muscles grow stronger when exposed to resistance. If there is no resistance, there is no reason for adaptation. The nervous system operates according to a remarkably similar principle. It requires challenge in order to develop resilience. This does not mean seeking unnecessary suffering or exposing yourself to overwhelming stress. It means recognizing that growth occurs at the edge of comfort. One reason people struggle with this concept is because modern life often encourages immediate relief. We can distract ourselves instantly. We can avoid difficult conversations. We can escape discomfort through endless forms of entertainment and stimulation. While these tools may provide short-term comfort, they often prevent the adaptations necessary for long-term strength. Consider what happens when you voluntarily engage in something difficult. Perhaps it's waking up earlier than you'd like. Perhaps it's exercising when motivation is low. Perhaps it's tackling a project you've been postponing or having a conversation you've been avoiding. In those moments, you're doing more than completing a task. You're teaching your brain that action is possible even in the presence of discomfort. This distinction is critical because many people believe they need to eliminate fear before taking action. But the nervous system doesn't work that way. Fear often decreases after action begins, not before. Waiting for complete confidence can become a trap because confidence is frequently the result of experience rather than the prerequisite for it. The ability to tolerate discomfort is one of the most powerful predictors of future success and emotional stability, not because discomfort itself is valuable, but because life inevitably contains uncertainty, setbacks, and challenges. Individuals who develop the capacity to remain functional during difficult moments possess a tremendous advantage. They don't waste energy fighting the existence of challenge. Instead, they direct their energy toward responding effectively. Another important aspect of resilience involves recovery. Strength is not about remaining activated all the time. The nervous system requires periods of rest and restoration. What distinguishes resilient individuals is not that they never experience stress. It's that they move efficiently between states of activation and recovery. They engage fully when action is required and recover intentionally afterward. When people understand this, their perspective begins to shift. Difficult moments stop feeling like evidence that something is wrong. Instead, they become opportunities for adaptation. Every challenge becomes a form of training. Every obstacle becomes feedback. Every uncomfortable experience becomes a chance to strengthen the systems responsible for emotional stability and performance. Over time, these small exposures accumulate. The brain starts building a history of successful adaptation. You begin to trust your ability to handle uncertainty. Because you've done it before, you become less dependent on perfect circumstances, because you've learned that progress is possible even when conditions are imperfect. Your confidence becomes grounded in evidence rather than wishful thinking. The remarkable thing about inner strength is that it rarely develops through dramatic transformations. More often, it emerges through repeated encounters with manageable challenges. It is built one decision at a time, one difficult conversation, one completed workout, one uncomfortable situation faced instead of avoided. These moments may appear insignificant in isolation, but together they shape the architecture of resilience. The goal is not to remove stress from your life. The goal is to become someone who can meet stress effectively. Because the moment you realize that discomfort is not a signal to retreat, but an opportunity to adapt, you fundamentally change the way you interact with the world. And that shift is where genuine inner strength begins to emerge. One of the most important factors in developing inner strength is understanding where genuine confidence comes from. Most people assume confidence is a feeling. They believe confident individuals wake up every day feeling motivated, certain, and completely sure of themselves. But when you look closely at human behavior and the way the brain builds self-belief, you find that confidence is not primarily a feeling. Confidence is evidence. Your brain is constantly collecting information about who you are. Every action you take becomes data. Every decision sends a signal. Every promise you keep or break contributes to an internal record that shapes your identity. Whether you realize it or not, your nervous system is always updating its prediction about what kind of person you are based on your behavior. This is why so many people struggle with self-confidence despite reading books, watching motivational videos, or repeating positive affirmations. The brain does not build trust through words alone. It builds trust through experience. You can tell yourself that you're disciplined, capable, and resilient, but if your actions consistently contradict those statements, the brain will believe the actions over the words every single time. Think about any relationship built on trust. Trust develops when someone's actions consistently align with their promises. The same principle applies internally. The relationship you have with yourself is governed by the same rules. When you repeatedly make commitments and fail to follow through, your brain begins to expect inconsistency. It learns that your intentions cannot always be relied upon. Over time, this weakens self-trust. Many people underestimate the significance of small commitments. They assume only major achievements matter, but the nervous system pays attention to patterns. If you tell yourself you're going to wake up at a certain time and you do it, your brain notices. If you commit to exercising and you follow through, your brain notices. If you decide to complete a task and you complete it, your brain notices. These seemingly minor actions accumulate into something much larger. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you create evidence. You strengthen the belief that your actions are aligned with your intentions. This process gradually builds what psychologists often refer to as self-efficacy, the belief that you can influence outcomes through your behavior. Self-efficacy is one of the strongest predictors of resilience, persistence, and long-term success. What's fascinating is that confidence often arrives after the behavior, not before it. This is where many people get stuck. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they feel motivated. They wait until they feel confident enough to act. But action is frequently what generates confidence in the first place.
Imagine someone who wants to become physically stronger.
They don't develop confidence in their strength before entering the gym. They develop confidence by repeatedly showing up, training, adapting, and observing improvement over time. The confidence emerges from evidence. The same principle applies to every area of life. The brain is designed to learn from experience. It pays far more attention to what you repeatedly do than what you occasionally think. This is why discipline is so powerful. Discipline is not about forcing yourself through life. It's about creating consistency between your intentions and your actions. Every disciplined behavior reinforces a specific identity. If you consistently act like someone who follows through, eventually your brain stops questioning whether you can be trusted. It begins to expect reliability. That expectation changes the way you approach challenges. Instead of asking whether you're capable, you start assuming that you'll find a way to handle whatever is in front of you. Another important aspect of this process is understanding the role of failure. Many people interpret failure as evidence of weakness, but failure only damages confidence when it causes you to stop acting. If failure becomes information rather than identity, it actually strengthens resilience. The brain learns that setbacks are survivable. It learns that mistakes do not define capability. Strong individuals are not people who never fail. They are people who continue collecting evidence after failure. They adjust, adapt, and keep moving forward. Their confidence becomes rooted in persistence rather than perfection. This shift changes everything because perfection is impossible. There will always be days when motivation is low. There will always be unexpected obstacles. There will always be moments when progress feels slower than expected. If your confidence depends on perfect performance, it will constantly fluctuate. But if your confidence depends on your willingness to continue acting, it becomes far more stable. Identity is ultimately the product of repeated behavior. The person you become is determined less by what you intend to do and more by what you consistently do. Every action is a vote for a particular version of yourself. Every decision reinforces a pattern. Over time, those patterns become beliefs. The remarkable thing about self-trust is that it grows gradually but becomes incredibly powerful. Once the brain accumulates enough evidence that you are someone who follows through, uncertainty loses much of its power. Challenges still exist. Fear still appears. Doubt still emerges from time to time. But beneath all of that is a deeper certainty. A certainty built not on optimism, motivation, or external validation, but on repeated proof. Proof that you can act when you don't feel like acting. Proof that you can continue when things become difficult. Proof that your actions are stronger than your excuses. And when the brain has enough evidence of that, confidence stops being something you search for and becomes something you carry with you into every challenge you face. One of the defining characteristics of mentally strong people is not that they experience fewer difficulties than everyone else. It is that they interpret those difficulties differently. The event itself matters, but the meaning assigned to the event often matters even more. Two individuals can encounter the exact same setback, yet one emerges stronger while the other becomes overwhelmed. The difference is frequently found in the way the brain processes and frames the experience. The human nervous system is constantly trying to make sense of the world. Every challenge, failure, disappointment, and unexpected obstacle is filtered through a set of interpretations. These interpretations shape emotions, influence behavior, and ultimately determine whether a person grows from adversity or becomes trapped by it. Most people automatically assume that difficult experiences are signs that something is wrong. They encounter resistance and immediately begin questioning themselves. They interpret failure as evidence of inadequacy. They see obstacles as proof that they should stop. This pattern is understandable because the brain naturally seeks safety and certainty. When something threatens progress or creates discomfort, the mind often generates stories designed to protect us from future pain. The problem is that these stories can become limitations. When someone experiences a setback and concludes, "I'm not good enough," the brain starts organizing behavior around that belief. Motivation decreases, effort declines, avoidance increases. Eventually, the belief appears to become true, not because it was accurate in the beginning, but because it shaped future actions. The remarkable thing about human psychology is that the same event can be viewed through a completely different lens. Instead of seeing failure as evidence of inability, it can be viewed as information. Instead of seeing difficulty as a signal to retreat, it can be viewed as a signal to adapt. This process is often referred to as cognitive reappraisal, and it represents one of the most powerful tools for building resilience. Cognitive reappraisal does not mean pretending everything is positive. It does not mean denying reality or ignoring genuine challenges. It means deliberately choosing a perspective that allows for growth rather than helplessness. The goal is not to distort reality. The goal is to interpret reality in a way that supports effective action. Consider what happens when an athlete encounters a loss. One interpretation might be, "I failed because I'm not talented enough." Another interpretation might be, "This exposed weaknesses that I now know how to improve." The event remains unchanged. The emotional and behavioral consequences are completely different. The brain responds not only to events, but also to perceived meaning. When a challenge is framed as a threat, the nervous system often narrows attention, increases anxiety, and promotes avoidance behaviors. When the same challenge is framed as an opportunity to learn, the brain becomes more flexible, more engaged, and more willing to persist. This principle extends far beyond performance. It applies to relationships, careers, personal growth, and everyday life. Every difficult conversation, unexpected setback, and period of uncertainty contains information. The question is whether you are willing to extract that information, or whether you become consumed by the discomfort itself. One of the most useful questions a person can ask during adversity is not "Why is this happening to me?" but rather "What is this teaching me?" That subtle shift redirects attention. Instead of focusing exclusively on the pain, the brain begins searching for lessons, patterns, and opportunities for adaptation. This process changes your relationship with discomfort. Challenges stop feeling like personal attacks. They become forms of feedback. Feedback may not always be pleasant, but it is often incredibly valuable. It reveals weaknesses that need attention. It exposes assumptions that require adjustment. It identifies areas where growth is possible. Many of the qualities people admire most, patience, discipline, courage, emotional stability, persistence, cannot be developed in comfortable environments. These qualities emerge through interaction with challenge. Without difficulty, there is no reason for adaptation. Without resistance, there is little opportunity for growth. Think about the moments in your life that produced the greatest development. Chances are they were not the easiest periods. They were moments that forced you to become more capable than you were before. At the time, those experiences may have felt frustrating, unfair, or overwhelming. Looking back, however, they often reveal themselves as turning points. The reason is simple. Adversity has a unique ability to reveal strengths that remain hidden during comfort. It forces the brain to develop new strategies. It requires emotional regulation. It demands problem solving. It teaches flexibility. In many cases, the challenge itself becomes the catalyst for transformation. Another important aspect of reframing adversity is recognizing that temporary circumstances do not define identity. People often make the mistake of turning events into personal labels. A failed project becomes "I'm a failure." A rejection becomes "I'm not worthy." A mistake becomes "I'm incapable." But events are not identities. A setback is an experience. A mistake is information. A challenge is a circumstance. None of these things determine who you are unless you decide they do. Mentally strong individuals understand this distinction. They separate outcomes from identity. They allow themselves to learn without becoming trapped by self-judgment. This gives them the freedom to adapt, improve, and continue moving forward. Over time, this way of thinking creates a profound shift. Difficult situations no longer automatically trigger defeat. Instead, they trigger curiosity. The question becomes less about why something happened and more about what can be learned from it. That mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth and turns adversity into one of the most effective training tools available for developing genuine inner strength. When people think about inner strength, they often imagine a person standing alone, completely independent, unaffected by circumstances, and capable of handling everything without help. But genuine inner strength operates very differently. It is not simply toughness. It is not stubbornness. It is not the ability to suppress emotions or push through every obstacle using willpower alone. True inner strength emerges from a combination of purpose, connection, adaptability, and disciplined action. These elements work together to create a nervous system that remains stable under pressure while continuing to move toward meaningful goals. One of the most powerful drivers of resilience is purpose. The brain is remarkably sensitive to meaning. Human beings can tolerate significant levels of discomfort, uncertainty, and effort when they understand why those experiences matter. Without purpose, even small challenges can feel overwhelming. With purpose, challenges become easier to endure because they are connected to something larger than immediate comfort. The nervous system is constantly evaluating whether an action is worth the energy it requires. When a goal feels meaningful, the brain becomes more willing to invest effort. Motivation becomes more sustainable. Persistence increases. Recovery from setbacks improves. Purpose provides direction, and direction gives the mind a reason to continue moving forward when circumstances become difficult. This is why individuals who possess a clear sense of mission often display extraordinary resilience. It is not because they experience less fear or less uncertainty. It is because their attention remains anchored to something larger than the discomfort they are currently experiencing. Their actions are guided by long-term meaning rather than short-term emotion. At the same time, purpose alone is not enough. The human brain evolved in social environments. Connection plays a critical role in psychological strength. Many people mistakenly believe that needing support is a sign of weakness. In reality, strong social connections are among the most reliable predictors of resilience and well-being. The nervous system does not operate in isolation. The presence of supportive relationships can significantly influence emotional regulation, stress recovery, and overall mental performance. When people feel connected to others, the brain often interprets challenges as more manageable. The burden of difficulty becomes lighter because it is not being carried alone. This does not mean becoming dependent on external validation. There is an important distinction between seeking approval and maintaining meaningful relationships. Inner strength grows when individuals develop the capacity to support themselves while also remaining open to support from others. These two qualities are not opposites. They complement each other. Another critical component of resilience is adaptability. Many people associate strength with rigidity. They believe being strong means never changing course, never adjusting, and never showing flexibility. But biology teaches us something different. The systems that survive and thrive are often the systems capable of adaptation. The brain itself is a remarkable example of this principle. Through neuroplasticity, neural circuits continuously change in response to experience. The nervous system is designed to learn, adjust, and evolve. Psychological resilience follows the same pattern. Strength is not about refusing to change. Strength is about maintaining forward movement while adjusting strategies when necessary. Life rarely unfolds according to plan. Unexpected challenges appear. Circumstances shift. Opportunities emerge from directions we never anticipated. Individuals who can adapt without losing their sense of purpose possess a tremendous advantage. They remain flexible in their methods while staying committed to their values and objectives. This flexibility reduces unnecessary suffering. Instead of fighting reality, they learn from it. Instead of becoming trapped by rigid expectations, they focus on effective responses. Their energy is directed toward adaptation rather than resistance. Discipline serves as the bridge that connects purpose and action. Purpose provides direction, but discipline creates consistency. Without discipline, even meaningful goals remain ideas. Discipline transforms intention into behavior. One of the most misunderstood aspects of discipline is the belief that it depends on motivation. In reality, motivation is often unreliable. It fluctuates based on mood, energy levels, circumstances, and countless external factors. Discipline becomes valuable because it allows action to continue even when motivation is absent. Every disciplined action strengthens specific neural pathways associated with self-regulation and behavioral control. The brain learns that behavior does not need to be dictated by temporary emotional states. Over time, this creates a profound sense of personal agency. Individuals begin to recognize that they can influence outcomes regardless of how they feel in a particular moment. This realization is incredibly empowering. It shifts the focus away from waiting for ideal conditions and toward taking meaningful action in the present. The strongest individuals are not necessarily those with the highest levels of motivation. They are often those who have developed systems and habits that allow progress to continue despite fluctuations in mood or circumstance. An important aspect of inner strength involves balancing firmness with flexibility. Too much rigidity can lead to burnout. Too much flexibility can lead to inconsistency. Resilient individuals learn to combine both qualities. They remain committed to their goals while adapting their approach when necessary. They maintain high standards while allowing room for learning and growth. This balance creates stability during uncertainty. Challenges become less threatening because they are viewed as part of the process rather than interruptions to it. Failures become opportunities for adjustment rather than reasons to quit. Progress becomes measured not only by outcomes but also by the ability to remain engaged despite obstacles. Over time, purpose provides direction, connection provides support, adaptability provides flexibility, and discipline provides consistency. Together, these elements create a foundation that can withstand pressure, uncertainty, and adversity. Inner strength is not built through a single breakthrough moment. It develops through repeated choices that align actions with values, maintain focus on meaningful goals, and allow growth through experience. The result is a mindset capable of remaining steady when circumstances become difficult and capable of moving forward even when the path ahead is unclear. As you move forward, remember this: life will always present uncertainty. There will always be challenges, setbacks, and moments when the path ahead is unclear. The goal is not to eliminate those experiences. The goal is to become the kind of person who can navigate them with clarity, discipline, and purpose. Every difficult moment is an opportunity to strengthen your mind, refine your character, and expand your capacity. And the more often you choose growth over comfort, action over avoidance, and purpose over fear, the stronger you become. Thank you for listening, and most importantly, thank you for investing in the most powerful project you'll ever work on yourself.